there, we've talked about the pen tool, now it's time to get hands-on with this activity. As you can see, we have lots of shapes in this PSD. Please download it and follow my lead. I'll do a couple and then I'll pass the torch to you. This is how you truly master the pen tool, by working in various situations one after another. Let's do it. This first shape is pretty easy because it only requires straight lines. For the second point, I'll hold Shift and this will create a perfectly straight line, even though I'll click somewhere inside the shape. As you can see, no problems with it. Make sure you're working with the right zoom level, that goes without saying. Click on this middle point and now repeat the process on the other side. Nothing too fancy about it, it's just a nice warm-up. Whenever you make a mistake, use Ctrl-Z. If you need fine adjustments, hold Ctrl and move any anchor point to its rightful place. Okay, let me go through these last clicks. In the meantime, in these situations, if you can't line up your selection perfectly with the shape's edge, I'd rather you have it placed inwards. This means we'll lose 1 or 2 pixels from the shape, but this is much better than having our white stroke all around it from our background. Right, this is done. I'll use Ctrl-J and I'll place it above this layer. I'll make it visible, and as you can see, my shape is looking lovely. Let's move on to this yellow one, which is going to require a bit more patience. Start from the top left with a single click. Now move down and click somewhere around this region, just before the object starts to change its shape. Next, we'll aim for another anchor point near this area because around here we can find its middle point. We could try to click and drag directly on the other side, but that would require a lot of fiddling. Undo that and let's make it happen. So click and drag towards the right. As you can see, we have to go pretty far out to match this curvature. You can see I'm just at its edge. This is what I was talking about just a few seconds ago. Instead of getting any white pixels, I'd rather just cut a bit into this yellow thingy here. Use Ctrl and drag this right handle inwards. Give me a moment. Okay, now it's time for the next anchor point. This should mirror the one on the left side, but that's not mandatory. Drag until you're happy. Okay, this looks pretty good. Our next line should be perfectly straight. If we click without any modifier key, we'll get something that will require a bit of fine-tuning, and I don't want to do that. Instead, I'll use Alt and I'll click on this anchor point. Now I'll get a perfect line. Remember, Ctrl and Alt are your friends. Without them, you won't be able to properly adjust your path, and this will result in a poor selection. This right side is very similar to what we did at the bottom, so I'll move a bit faster through it. These handles are the keys to a great path. That's why I'm constantly adjusting them back and forth. Anchor points can be moved as well, so don't be afraid of changing their placement. Now I'll circle back and look for this symbol so I can close off my path. Great stuff. Right-click and create a selection. Make sure you're on the correct layer. Now duplicate it and we'll judge our results by having it placed above this one. If there are any white pixels, this will reveal them. Of course, I don't want to eat too much into my shape, but here it doesn't seem like that's the case. Okay, one more and I'll leave the rest for your enjoyment. Let's handle this circle, which is probably going to be the most labour-intensive one of them all. My advice is you start from this outer part, from this place where the two colours intersect. Click once and now move your mouse over to this imaginary middle point of our shape. Click and drag towards the right. Remember, you can switch to the zoom tool to get a better view and then move back to the pen tool. Check if your path is flush with the object's edge. In this case, it seems fine. I'll try to position the next anchor point a bit further away from this one. Somewhere near its middle right side should do the trick. The further apart they are, the better, but it's also going to require concentration. No worries, we can handle it. This needs a lot of dragging, but it's looking great. If you're not having the same experience, take it a bit slower, use Ctrl-Z, and with a bit of patience, you'll do a better job as you practice. Okay, let's repeat this step, but I'll click pretty far away. I'd say a distance that's about 1/3 of this entire shape. As you place your new point and drag, pay close attention to your previous points. You might need to further adjust their handles with the Control key so you can remove any unwanted white pixels. Here we can't rely on the Convert Point tool because everything needs to be one continuous smooth line. The next point is up to you. Will you play it safe and add another point in between these two, or do you go directly for the end? That last option is better in my view, but it's going to require a lot of fiddling. If you're too zoomed in, your image might move as you drag this handle. But no worries, we can go back and see what's what. The final point, just to be sure everything is fine, is to control-click each anchor point and adjust these handles one last time in case it's needed. Overall, I'm happy with this outcome, especially since I'm trying to keep a certain pace while I'm recording it. Now right-click and make a selection. Make a copy and place it above this layer. Take a moment and see how you did. I think this is fine. I could have done a better job, say 20% smoother, but that would have slowed me down. Now you have a lot of shapes left. Some are easy, while some will require a bit more patience. Whoever does this first with the pen tool and not anything else deserves a medal or something. Upload your work to the comments section, and if you've done a great job, you might win a prize. To prove you've solved it with the pen tool, show me a screenshot of all your paths from the Paths panel. Have fun!